Awesome. Hey guys.
Hey.
What's going on? So first, what are your names and what are your books' names?
My name's Kieran Collier. My book is When the Gardener Has Left.
My name is, I think we're going to publish it as Michael J. Schuck.
Oh.
4 syllables.
Oh, that's very
Wow.
fancy.
My book is The Incredible Superfest.
Awesome. So, first off, what inspired you to write your collections? We're just going to dive straight into this. It's going to be awesome.
I had just read Mouse, and I didn't understand why you couldn't have non-human characters in fiction without the subject of that fiction being that they were non-human characters. Now I understand why. It's very difficult to do that. And so that translated itself into the symbol of the Easter rabbit, people dressing up as the Easter bunny and stuff like that. And doing it for different motivational reasons and kind of taking back this sort of pagan symbol after it had been claimed by Christianity for a few hundreds of years.
And mine is pretty much based off of just my life. It's a lot of narrative poetry about my mom and her passing. And so just kind of trying to explore all the different facets of that and approaching it from different angles and time periods and trying to like get like a whole picture from like this event that has like a myriad of like consequences because of it.
Right. Awesome. Cool. Sorry, I'm scrolling through the questions. How would you describe... No, never mind. That doesn't work. No, delete that one. How did you react when you found out that your manuscript was going to be published?
Well,
Either of you can start.
I was surprised, honestly, because there's a lot of weird stuff in this one, and even just in formatting as well as content. Very happy, obviously, but surprised and hopeful that I would be able to reach a couple another dozen people maybe with my work.
I was like on the way out of my house and I think I got like the email or the Facebook message. I forget how I heard first. But it was like right as I was leaving and I was just like to my roommate, I was like, hey, I got it. I gotta go now, bye. so yeah, I was like, couldn't really process it at first. Still haven't really processed it. But like.
Awesome. It's a whole situation. You'll get there. It'll happen.
When you have like the printed book.
That's what
that's
I
the
feel.
time.
Yeah.
That's the cool part. Also seeing the cover is
Yes.
nice.
So how long did it take for you to like compile like the composite work that is now your book? Either one of you, and loudly because I don't know how well this camera picks up sound.
Do you think this is like...
I think it should be fine.
Very
let's,
loud and
uh,
vocal people.
Just like
let's
project.
Pronunciate.
I've been writing poems to this for over 2 years at this point. There is one poem I was going back in the editing process. It was one of the first poems I had written for it, and I completely re-edited the entire format of the poem. And it was like really weird because I like remembered writing it like my freshman year, like in my like the bottom bunk of like my triple, and then like to like. And then a lot of the work as well is like very recent. In January I did a 3131 and like a lot of the poems I generated during that time went into the manuscript. And then it's also a lot of like the manuscript I had previously submitted that had not gotten accepted. So I think like a combination of like very early work, very recent work, and like some kind in the middle all come together.
I had the idea July of last summer and didn't actually write anything that I thought was good until December. And wrote the majority of the content December through January, and have been editing since. I think that's about it. There might be one story that I wrote a couple weeks ago, but other than that, December, January.
That's a short time frame. How would you describe your personal writing like process? What do you do to get in the writing mood?
I've been doing this thing recently where I have a very like large computer. It's like a 17-inch screen or whatever, so it takes up a lot of space. And so I'll go on the T and like just take out my laptop and like just try and like write poems in like my 20-minute T ride. And everyone hates me for it, but I try and like make myself as small as I can while like I have this giant computer on my lap. But a lot of writing on the T recently. I had an old notebook with like pink camouflage that I had like won in some contest that like I wrote a lot of the poems in when I was like waiting for the 66 a lot of nights. And then I guess just like writing like at my kitchen table.
Yeah, I can't. I used to be able to when I first got to college, but I can't write on a computer anymore, at least not for the first draft. So I've just been handwriting everything. And in terms of mindset and things like that, there's a Don Hertzfeldt quote that I really like where he just says he tries to block the expectations out of his mind, either from himself or from anybody else, and just act like he's a kid in a beam of sunlight on the floor with a huge piece of paper, and just doing whatever the hell you want. And then that's usually enough to get me through the first draft. And then after that, I can say, oh, that's shit, or actually, oh, that's not too bad, and I can work on that.
Nice. Oh, this is an interesting one. Where would you want to go on a writer's retreat? Where's your ideal writing spot? Other than the train.
Anywhere without responsibility, because like I haven't had like an entire day where I've had nothing to do.
Is that your ideal writer spot or your ideal spot?
Right. I mean, yeah, both. But like for writing, at least, it's like I always feel like I'm like writing poems in between things, and so I'd really like to be able to like have writing poems be the focus. And I think like not having a like Google Calendar full of places I need to be would like definitely be the ideal spot for that.
I really like Florence, as a lot of people do. The problem is, if I was trying to write there, I would be in Florence, and I would probably want to do anything but write. So, I don't know, maybe that, or like Alaska in October. So not quite at its worst, but getting there. Yeah, I think I could do that.
Nice. Okay. So now to pull back from your process a little bit, instead just talk about y'all as people. What was your favorite book growing up? It doesn't have to be like the book that inspired you to be a writer, but just like your favorite book.
The Phantom Tollbooth. That's it.
I really liked like long series of books, so Harry Potter is definitely up there, and I really like the Golden Compass series as well. It's a good one.
And then did you have a favorite author that is like either the same or different from your favorite book?
Growing up or no?
Ever. No.
Ever. Growing up, I probably should have mentioned this during the last question, but Lemony Snicket as a persona, fucking loved it. And I finally got to meet his associate Daniel Handler a couple years ago, and it was a great moment. I don't know if it was for him, but it was for me. That was really great. Yeah.
He was just at Harvard, and I met him,
yeah.
and he was so funny.
He's fantastic.
He
He's
is.
a great performer too, which you don't really
Yeah.
expect from any writers.
Definitely.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know. I like looked up like hardcore to J.K. Rowling when I was growing up. She was definitely like a huge influence on me because I like learned to read on the Harry Potter series and like really like had a lot of my like beliefs and like opinions formed from that series. But like now, I don't think I have like a favorite writer. I just really like different communities and like the work that communities produce.
That's valid. See, do you have a least favorite author? Like, do you have somebody that you just absolutely hate? Because I know that I do. So.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it's okay if you just hate them as a person too, like not even.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Well,
Just tell us about the people you
that's
hate.
everybody.
Just like let's have some trash.
A lot of the people we have to read for lit classes is people I don't like. Just like way too many white males in the curriculum.
Who also happen to be terrible people.
Yeah.
John Grisham, because he's made more money than I ever will.
That's fair.
I don't think the writing's all that good either. So, but I'm sure he's a nice guy.
So besides writing, what are some of your other interests? Like, what do you do in your free, not school, not writing time? Do you do anything? Do you just write? Do you cry alone?
Sometimes.
I do that.
play a lot of Quidditch, which is like, I still haven't gotten over the embarrassment of saying that out loud. But yeah, definitely Quidditch. I run cross country. Really into music. I'm pretty boring otherwise.
Yeah, I started record collecting a couple years ago. So that's sort of a hobby, I guess. I don't know. It's not all that serious. When I was walking around Boston when it's not god awful, the weather is really great.
When is that?
There are 2 weeks scattered, just days at a time around the year. And I've also I've been trying to get back into doing stencils and stuff just around town. So,
That's awesome. Oh, I really love this question. How would you describe your personal aesthetic? What is your aesthetic? Preferably 5 words or fewer. You can take a moment.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that was.
Hey, my friends make me use 3 words or fewer, so
I don't know.
it takes some thinking. It's a tough one.
Could be like 6 or 7 words.
Yeah, it could be as many words as you want.
Okay. And this is from the perspective of anyone who reads it, not from my personal perspective, but we don't really know what he was going for there.
Probably pop punk trash.
Yeah.
That
That is also my 3 words or fewer.
But also, I like tweet a lot about my aesthetic, which is just an awful thing to say out loud. But like, there was one time I specifically remember saying like my aesthetic is the really enthusiastic Duncan radio announcer. I feel like I connect with him a lot. So, yeah.
Oh, man.
Same.
Oh, if you could have a conversation with any historical figure, who would it be and why? And it doesn't have to be like history, like it could just be somebody who's dead. That's fine. Their history now, whatever.
I'd probably say Lou Gehrig, just because I feel like his story is like one I like care a lot about and have definitely confronted in my own writing and stuff, and through like my history. So I'd definitely love to meet him and also just talk about like old Yankees. That would be really cool.
Franz Ferdinand. Because I want to explain to him the intricacies of how his death caused a world war, because I don't really understand it, and he probably doesn't either, because he didn't get to see any of it. But yeah, I want to talk to Franz Ferdinand.
If there was a celebrity to star in the movie of your life, who would it be? Who would play you?
A lot of people have said I look like Dane DeHaan.
Oh, wow.
But like, but I've never once seen that or identified with that. But yeah, that's who everyone usually goes for.
So you know how a lot of directors, when they're starting out, they'll just use people who don't know how to act?
Right.
I think it would be one of those people.
Follow-up question. Who would play your love interest?
Ooh.
A ghost. Something that's just not there.
It's like really bad effects.
Yeah, exactly. It would be CGI.
The PA on set the day after they decided to add a love interest to the story.
Beautiful. Pen, pencil, or keyboard for writing? What's your preference?
Pen.
Use a keyboard more often, but probably pen.
And then black or blue ink?
Black.
Thank you.
Yes. Correct.
That's the right
The correct
answer.
answer.
Carl, apparently.
Carl. You would. You would.
What?
Oh, okay. What's something that most people don't know about you that you feel comfortable sharing with the internet?
Probably.
There's a little asterisk right there. Okay. About the open books?
Yeah.
I'm just really bad at thinking of these things.
I should have like sent you all these questions
Things
ahead
that
of time.
people don't know about me.
Do you have like any weird scars? Were you born with a tail? What's going on?
Were you born as a
Now that you mention it.
I used to be one of those asshole kids who rationed his Halloween candy for like a month after. It was awful.
How dare you not gorge yourself?
I felt really bad about it too.
I have like a scar like right here because I had like 8 stitches to like get like a weird freckle removed, and then like 2 days later I was like wrestling. I was like 8. I was wrestling with a friend, and he's like, "Yo, your head's bleeding." And I was like, "I'm not gonna fall for that one." And it was like actually bleeding, so I got more stitches. So like if you like shave my head, you'll be able to see there's a spot where hair can't grow.
I'm not gonna fall for that. What's your favorite class that you've taken at Emerson?
It's either the workshop I took with Cecily Parks, she's a really great teacher, or Queers in Space, which is Queer Identities in Science Fiction Fantasy is the full title. But that was with Sunil Swaroop, and it was just a really interesting class with like a lot of good people.
And I think I said this last time we talked about it, but Modern Grotesque with Kevin Miller. Watched a lot of awful, crazy movies and wonderful, awful books as well.
Nice. And then a similar but slightly different question. What professor at Emerson has helped or inspired you the most? We're asking you to choose favorites here. Sorry.
Gonna definitely go back to Cecily Parks again. She's just a really great writer. Still really bummed she's not here. But also Claudia Castaneda, because she'll just say things and I'll be like, wow. Like the other day she just came into class and she was like, yeah, like sorry if like any of y'all like felt weird about like that last discussion. She's like, we don't have an infinite number of choices. And I was like, yo, it is 10 a.m. This is too early for you to like confront me with that right now.
I love Claudia.
She's great.
I guess a couple, Kevin Miller and Richard Hoffman both went through my stuff. It didn't assume I just didn't know how to write narrative, which was really great. And also Dr. K, Dr. Kukristova, has been very helpful as well and supportive, even if I haven't had her for a workshop.
Awesome. What's your favorite memory? Like, if you had to cast a Patronus, what would be the happy memory that you chose to bring that forth? Yeah, I know. Any times you've been a hooligan, done some bad shit, didn't get caught for it.
That would be my Patronus.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I'm so pumped that I didn't get caught for that. That's how my Patronus comes about.
One of my happiest memories is probably like summer after my freshman year. Me and a bunch of my friends from my floor all went to Cape Cod at a friend's house. And so like just like that weekend was like really, really special.
I once got sunburned on the Jersey Shore and then had a good hot dog afterwards.
It's a good time. Okay. What would be your dream job? Whether it's writing or not writing, like what do you just like really want to do with your life?
I really like working one-on-one with people, so like probably like something maybe in education or like writing-based workshops, particularly with like younger people who like don't necessarily know the tools yet, and just kind of working with them. I work at a day camp most summers, and so I really something like that, but like an actual job with like less chaos would be ideal.
I'd like to get paid to write in some capacity, so that might be too much to ask for. And it's also a recent dream of mine to own a very large dog, like a Newfoundland or a Saint Bernard. That'd be fun.
That is also my ideal job, is large dog owner.
It is a job.
Yeah, like
Just
there's
an
like
aspiration.
they're a thing that you have to take care of. Do you have any tips for aspiring writers now that you're both published authors? I know.
When people usually like come up to me at like poetry things and like ask like how to get better or whatever, I like tell them like a lot to just like listen to a lot of different poetry, because I feel like you grow a lot, not only learning what you do like, but learning what you don't like and what you think doesn't work. I feel like not necessarily seeing the negative parts of people's arts, but seeing the parts of people's art that you don't necessarily connect with makes you make an active choice to avoid those and find ways around that in your own writing. And so I think like confronting things you don't like makes your own writing stronger, as opposed to just seeing things you do like and trying to emulate them.
I guess on the technical side of things, and this gets said all the time in workshops, but read your stuff out loud and see if you sound like a human being. Besides that, still on the technical side, only have about 3 or 4 shots of hard liquor on any night where you say that you're going to write something, because more than that, and then you just fall asleep. So.
That is very good advice to all of our overage aspiring writers. Cool. And then my last question, and then I'll open it up in case anybody else has questions that we haven't covered yet, is what is your spirit animal?
Dolphins.
Rabbits?
No. Oh, I hate rabbits. They're awful.
Oh.
Yeah, they're terrible. But chinchillas. I really like chinchillas. So yeah, I think that has to be it.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah. Has anybody ever told you that you look like John Green a little bit?
No.
I think you just
I don't
crushed
think
his
he likes
soul.
it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean,
Not
like,
sure how to take it. No.
Objectively.
But no. Yeah, no, the answer is no.
all right, well, you do. So,
Got the glasses
I'll have to
behind
deal with
jeans
that now.
combo.
Yeah,
play
yeah.
down pat.
Anybody else?
I think Julia, let me read through Julia's quick.
Okay.
She sent me like a list of questions.
She's helpful.
She has a specific one for Mike and
Okay.
a specific one for Kieran.
Okay.
For Kieran, do you think of yourself more as a writer or more as a performer, or do the two go hand in hand?
Way too introverted to be a performer, so definitely a writer. Although I do think the performance is like inherently tied. It's like Mike was saying before with reading your work out loud. I think that's a really important part to not only the editing, but having your words like live off of the page. And like performance poetry is such a big part of like what I'm involved in the communities I choose to be a part of. So I think like I'm definitely part performer, but I think like it's all founded in writing, and I wouldn't be as much of a performer without the writing there.
For Mike, what's next after graduation?
That's mean. That's
No,
mean.
right?
Yeah. Well, I'll get a couple of shitty jobs and hopefully pay for an apartment that I'll hopefully find. And the dog is still up in the air, but that's also a hope. That's it.
What else does she have? If you weren't focused on writing, what would you do? What would your career be? We kind of talked about ideal
We
jobs
kind of touched on
already.
that, yeah.
This may be cheating because it's like kind of still writing, but I almost majored in songwriting and like music before choosing to instead pursue like a creative writing degree. So probably something in that regard.
Not sure I have another one.
That's
I could
fair.
beg the people at Commonwealth Books for a job, but that usually doesn't work out.
Do you have a favorite image, scene, or character from your work that you are most proud of, or line? Is there some moment in your book that you're most proud of?
Okay, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of it's sort of weird to be telling people when they haven't read it yet. But so at the beginning of one of the stories, there's just sort of in brackets a note that that what follows is part of a letter that was nailed to the passenger side door. I forget whether the passenger side door or the driver's side door of a green Corolla. And I had a reason for doing that, but I never explained it. And so, I don't know, it's exciting to think that people would come up with a reason for it being there, or for that detail to be included. So I like that.
When I was like going and re-editing, there were like some lines that like I had like noted down on my computer that I wanted to incorporate into the look at some point, and the phrase "salient quiet" was one of them. And so I'm really glad I got to work that in. But in general, I would like really like the way a lot of my poems end, like the kind of ending images. So I'm really proud of those. That's not a specific one, but like.
Which is any other ones? If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Does it have to be an existing superpower?
No.
Do right away. No. Okay.
Don't limit yourself.
I really like the power rings from the Green Lantern series, but not necessarily the Green Lanterns, but more the Blue Lanterns. Because the Green Lanterns, the rings, they make a shape based on your will, but the Blue Lanterns, it's based on hope, and I really like that concept of like hope manifesting itself physically and like creating things.
I think this is taken for granted for a lot of superheroes. It's just sort of automatic, I guess, when you have any kind of power. But the ability to breathe in space, not necessarily the ability to get to space, I'll figure that out. But yeah, being able to breathe in space, that'd be cool. I think I'd like to spend some time out there.
You might have it now and wouldn't even know.
I haven't tried it out.
You gotta go to space and
I
see.
have to prove myself wrong.
Oh, man.
Alright, and I think the last one from Julia is, do you have any other projects you're working on? Any new projects or any like brainstorms about new projects?
Well, I have like a lot of poems on my computer, and I was like, I debated almost submitting 2 manuscripts because the other one would have been much less fleshed out, but kind of more the idea of like coming into oneself. So like a lot of poems about like relationships and like anxiety and like growing up and stuff like that that aren't inherently tied to my mother is one concept I was working on. And I also have to write a thesis next year, and all the poems that are being published was my plan for my thesis, so I need to think of a new one, so whatever that manifests itself in, I guess.
It's not really an ongoing project, but I'm just writing a couple stories where I try to I've been trying to use the concept of the multiverse theory a little bit and telling the same story in different realities as we go along. That's been kind of fun, and maybe I could apply that to a bunch of different work, but for now it's just one story. So.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions while we still got them here on camera? No? Okay, I think I'm good. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming.